Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney 2. Let's carry on where we left off. It is trial number 3, second day of proceedings, and things aren't looking well for our case. As usual, Mr. Enoch Drebber has taken the stand. He's explaining to us the mechanics behind the instantaneous kinesis experiment that took place on stage a couple of days ago, but honestly, we already knew it was all cloak and dagger, considering the existence of 2 bird cages and potentially 2 Mr. Odiasmans. Unfortunately, that's been kind of debunked so far by the forensic investigation team. Still, the main reason our case is failing so bad right now is motive, and Enoch Drebber has the greatest motive in the world to not murder Odiasman, and that is money. The contract that he signed with the man will only pay out if both parties are alive, so unless Odiasman is secretly alive and kicking somewhere, he ain't getting the money, and certainly he wouldn't have murdered Asman if he wasn't going to get his payday. So, who is responsible for the death of our victim in this case? I don't know, but I feel a summation examination is about to come up. And I've no doubt there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths too. I mean, we're on the right track with some things, but I can't see the bigger picture right now. Not to mention the fact that Kazuma, at least we believe so, we're 99% sure it's Kazuma, for goodness sake, is standing opposite us on the prosecutor's bench. It's hard to concentrate, okay? There's too many emotions in this trial. Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer. Oh yeah, you look very solemn indeed. Never mind. Well, I must say I'm a little surprised. I came here to testify about the machine I built, and instead my reputation is defiled. But the prosecution's counter has set the record straight, I think. It's impossible that I'm the culprit.
Objection!
Is it though? There must be some other reason you wanted him dead. Something that goes beyond money. At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there was only 1 birdcage. Yet now we know there must have been 2. In other words, there was more to the demonstration than we realized at first. And, well, you know, if contract law has taught me anything, there's always a loophole in a contract. Surely there's something amiss about the document we got. I couldn't see it at first pass. Maybe something will come up later on. It's in the court record for a reason, after all. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit. Get to the point. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up in its entirety by you, Mr. Drebber. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the events that transpired. Well, so if circumstances mean it's impossible that you could have carried out the crime yourself, it points to the fact that someone else was involved. Someone else? Counsel, are you suggesting... Damn straight, there's an accomplice around. Yes, my lord. Mr. Drebber had an accomplice.
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain, an accomplice now. Well then, I presume you're prepared for what's to come. Now that you're accusing not only this witness, but someone else of the most serious of crimes. Hey, you bloody accuse people, even though they end up not guilty at the end of it all. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm the defense attorney, and I've won numerous times against you, okay? Even if one of them probably shouldn't have. That was the McGilded case. If these accusations turn out to be false, then make no mistake. The prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander. Yeah, okay. I'm confident. I'm still confident. Well, counsel, do you intend to pursue this course and formally accuse another party of involvement into this matter? Who? What do I do here? At the moment, this is a little more than a hunch on my part. I don't know for sure if Drebber had an accomplice, or even if he really is the culprit here. I'm just grasping at straws, trying to avoid another summation examination, for goodness sake. One way or another, though, I have to make my position clear. As a lawyer. So what's my stance going to be? Did Drebber have an accomplice? Or not?
Yes, of course he did.
The defense is ready to name Mr. Drebber's accomplice. Somehow, the two bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet, according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. But that inconsistency itself is a clue. Counsel? My lord? Yeah? You have received a stark warning already. If you are nevertheless determined, then I must now ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. By name? What if I don't know their name? What if I just... so your answer, please. Who do you claim to have been Mr. Drebber's accomplice? Well, Ryunosuke did toss us a nugget of a clue just then, didn't he? The fact that there is a clash with the coroner's report, saying that there can't have been two. Are we really doing this? Are we really accusing Courtney Scythe? Scotland Yard coroner, leader of the forensic investigation team and one of Lord Strongheart's most trusted allies, constantly warning us away from crime scenes. She didn't pop up on my radar until just this second. I'm doing it. The name of the person in question is... What's wrong, my Nipponese friend? Surely fear doesn't bind your tongue now. It's a little late for that. The music's still playing. Of course I'm afraid. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. Oh, we're doing it! We're doing it! I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. Shit! The magnitude of this. I feel Ryunosuke's wide eyes now. I'm sure it will be alright, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you? Are you sure, Susato? You just got here, okay? I've just gotten back into the courtroom, and now I'm about to drop a bomb. Not a literal bomb, mind you, but a metaphorical one. And shit, Lord Strongheart, he ain't gonna be happy with me. The fact that he let me back into this courtroom. Thank you, Miss Susato. The enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy. Okay. If you say so. Yes, I'm totally as intimidating as her. Alright then. Here goes. You've kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, Counsel. Now! Desk slam for motivation. The person who colluded with Mr. Drebber in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe. What the blazes are you talking about? Dr. Scythe? You surely mean Dr. Sith. I don't know how it's pronounced. The head of the forensic investigation team and the coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim. Yes. We know there were two bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officers included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. When else could the switch have occurred? It can only have been in that team's presence. Well, I mean, he doesn't look scared or anything, he just looks miffed. It's essential that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify. Oh god. Oh jeez. Well, at least I'm making it dramatic. The jury must be very... Okay, juror number 6 is not entertained. You've got a nerve, lad! Standing up there, dragging the yard's name through the mud. You're the one fast asleep and... Put your gun down, man. I didn't mean to. Please don't shoot me. I know the woman very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal? My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the East End at night. Oh, that's a cool line. As Gundam Tanaka would say. But the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. One which the prosecution demands you address at once, before we entertain this farce any further. A grave problem? Was that pun intended? Oh, my word. Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger? What? Certainly if the bird cage containing the body of the victim was exchanged for another, that cage must also have contained a body. And yet, No missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim have been reported. Well, I can answer that. Quite straightforward, actually. I'm just wondering why she entertained this whole murder in the first place. Surely she would have known that we can see through the fact that instantaneous kinesis didn't work, and yet she's trying to sell it like it did. Like, oh, there was only one birdcage. I promise. It teleported. Which means there was no one, dead or alive, who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Asman. That's true. If my argument is that there were 2 bird cages, then there must have also been one person inside each. But I don't know if I've got an answer to this yet. Have I? What can I do to reveal how this body double stunt was achieved? I can name someone, I can present evidence. And by evidence, what am I gonna do? The waxwork head? Or, this piece of broken glass probably would work. In terms of people, I can't exactly present the waxwork because that's not a person. Masked man, apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks, whose face is always covered by a mask. The air of a completely unassailable man. Okay, we're gonna present evidence. Very well. The defense will address my learned friend's concerns by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Asman's body double. Good gracious! Evidence? I do hope this isn't filibustering, counsel. The court is expecting a name. I don't have a name, but I do have a piece of glass. If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now! The body double and the birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage, which means that any witnesses would only have seen them from 60 feet away. So who was it that appeared out of that explosion some 18 meters above the spectators? Aha! 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 Yes, the body double inside the second birdcage was... Oh, shit. Okay. Do I present the broken glass now? Or do I present the waxwork head? I don't know which one. I'm gonna go for the body double inside the second birdcage was... well, I think he's trying to lean towards presenting the waxwork head, actually, because we're talking about how it was hidden in the balloon and whatnot, just like this head was. I'm gonna go for this.
Take that!
We know that the victim, Mr. Asman, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the kinesis machine on stage, and therefore he couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contains something else. What's been described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into the crystal tower. Yes, counsel, according to your somewhat elaborate version of events, can you just talk like a normal person, please? I'm old, I can't understand. That body double inside the second birdcage was, in fact... oh no, I'm seizing up again. This is just so outlandish, no one's gonna believe me. It's alright, Mr. Naruhodo. You're ready for this. Well, I mean, just like Ryunosuke, I'm nervous about presenting this because I'm always worried it's going to be wrong. Just steel yourself and come out with it. Thank you, Mr. Susato. I needed that. As I was saying, the body double inside the second birdcage was, as unbelievable as it may seem, that thing there. What's it doing here? Good God, right in front of the jury, no less. I can't even look. My eyes are closed. There's the body double.
Objection!
He took his sweet time objecting to that. Open your eyes and look into mine, my Nipponese friend. Yeah, I'm looking. Now tell me, what are you playing at? Stand firm now, Ryunosuke. This is the time to show your Japanese spirit. As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model Oh no, I've lost my power. Oh shit. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago. I think his name was the Professor.
Objection!
I'm right about that. You started by indicting the leader of the forensic investigation team as an accomplice in this crime, and now you've moved on to indicting Waxworks. Oh god. When you say it like that, it sounds dumb, man. Zeeks, Jesus Christ. Yes, that's about the size of it. But why? And why this waxwork? It looks nothing like the victim. In fact, it could hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give? I've got it back. If you want to know why, ask Mr. Drebber. Make him testify, goddammit. What? Just days before Professor Hairbrain performed his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted this model from Madame Tussbell's. Did you say abducted? Yeah, kidnapping implies he's alive, I guess. Repossessed. Stole. Burglarized. I don't know. Susato, pull out the thesaurus, man. And 2 days after the incident at the Great Exhibition, he returned it to the museum. Then the timing. Is this true, Mr. Drebber? At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Drebber would have stolen the waxwork and then given it back again. But now, the reason is clear. He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Mr. Asman. Gah! There we go.
Objection!
It's okay, I've got a piece of glass that proves it. Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? Don't appeal to them. That the witness fabricated this vast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. That he did so in collusion with the country's finest coroner on a public stage in front of a vast audience. And that, to effect the deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide? He wants a summation examination, huh?
Objection!
Don't listen to him! No! Wait! Yes! If you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. I said this already. My lord, I need to speak, if you please. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. You have? I didn't even see you guys talking. Very good. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings for the court to hear now. Well, I was 15 minutes away from a summation examination all along.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Kill me!
You're guilty. Well, so as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. Do I look so giant now, Susato? I knew that was going to happen. I'm familiar with the game mechanics by now. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruhodo, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way, I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. In fact, I'm ready for this. I'm going to have to appeal to the jurors as usual. See if I can persuade them to change their minds. The defense will now embark on a summation examination. I didn't even need to ask this time because that's his default answer. Are you and your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very well. In that case, I ask you now to state clearly for all present to hear the grounds on which each of you has decided that the defendant is guilty of the crime of which he is charged. Here we go. I can't wait for two of them to be completely irrelevant. Judicial findings. Jurors' contentions. I've known that woman for years. She'd never be an accomplice to anything. It's utter nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another. Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I have had my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much. I've seen no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture.
Accusing someone without right evidences? It's not a proper job, is he? I won't have it.
Interesting we started with juror number 6 this time. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model to the proceedings has polarized opinion. Given that its face is obscured and its build in no way resembles that of the victim, I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting it as Mr. Asmund's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know it seems extraordinary, but that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes. Maybe that was her plan all along, that conniving bitch. She knew. She knew no one would believe me. if I start pointing out the waxwork and all sorts. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? Can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be this model. Maybe Mr. Odi Asmund is beneath the mask.
Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean?
Yes, and I'm convinced it's something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim.
Well, if that's the case, we must prevent that trial from ending prematurely at all costs.
Yes, agreed. I ain't gonna let you get one over me, Drebber, that's for sure. You bastard. I have to find a way out of this. If you're ready, counsel, you may proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Alright, focus up. Didn't quite catch anything obvious during the initial contentions, but it's time for our rebuttal. You've known that woman for years, she'd never been an accomplice to anything. I don't nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another. The waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner. You don't trust the police. Cool. No rigorous proof that this waxwork was inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. We can prove that with the glass, can't we? Okay, well, let's start by pressing juror number 4, and then we'll go on to juror number 5, because she says we have no evidences, right? But you claim the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. That I did. There's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there? Sorry? I grant you, given that this cage appeared from amidst an explosion, there'd have been no need to use a real person. But if waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have had the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's just not science.
I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But that means, perhaps in his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence.
Evidence that the Professor Waxwork was inside that birdcage. Can I produce that or not? I have evidence. Actually, I have something I'd like you to see, sir. Oh? I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats. So given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. Jet black? So you don't trust anyone in black? Looking in the mirror must be very trying. Damn the sass. I do have some evidence that proves the waxwork was inside that birdcage. Namely...
Take that!
Now, I didn't even stop to think about this one. Just presenting it straight off the bat. What's that? Piece of glass? Though it's unusually thick for glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket on the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass, though. It's very thick, just like you guys, and clearly made for extra strength. Not like you guys. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower... Holy smoke! Exactly, the centerpiece of the Great Exhibition, where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through the window of that special glass. From whence this small piece originated. Is that it? Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed before you. And then he's going to change his statement, and I'm going to conflict this with juror number 5, I think. Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it. In light of what you've shown me here, yes, I feel obliged to change my position on the matter. In that case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please. Brilliant. The presence of that piece of glass leaves me in little doubt that the waxwork was indeed inside that birdcage. Alright, let's pit you with juror number 5. Surely this is right?
Objection.
Good. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Ha! That gotcha. You shouldn't have amended your statement, huh? Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? The one with the spotlights on them. My lord. If you could put down your corn for a moment, juror number 5. God. It's like a bloody kangaroo court here. Every time. Stop eating!
Oh, you mean me?
You pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidences. But the accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you.
Oh, is that right?
Didn't I say to put down the freaking corn? Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument?
I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest.
Oh god, she's got another one! Of course you don't. If I could interject here, I'd like to change my position back. Please do, sir. Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me, as a man of science, not to pursue the matter further. Alright, I'll take one. Slowly but surely.
Ah, well, me too then.
I'm sorry? You know what, though? I'm not even going to question it. Just do it.
If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then he must be. See? I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got stuff in between the ears.
Judge doesn't look happy. Success? If you can call it that. Alright.
Well, of course, if he's got some evidences, that's a whole other cob of corn, isn't it? Lovely job.
The possibility has been established reasonably and logically. It now warrants further research. Okay, you don't trust them much? Maybe we'll have to pit you against juror number 6. Let's press. What sort of problems?
Let's just say we have run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the street.
Right, I see.
Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences, so we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult.
Oh, I knew there'd be something going on here.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, can you stop twirling your gun? I'm afraid you're gonna shoot the judge. Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Artermole? Who you calling a mass murderer?
Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him.
I don't look anything like the man. You want to be locked up, Sonny?
Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said.
And, clearly you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, you know, this is all taking place back in the day. It wasn't like this.
What was it like, sir?
We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust, we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then.
Respected you?
No one would have called a coroner into question in them days. The coroner's report was the hallmark of an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name to it.
Dr. Courtney Stevens, that sounds familiar. I believe it's on the professor's autopsy report. There it is. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th of June.
She was the best of the best. The apple of the force's eye.
Hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens?
Sorry. Got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Sight's maiden name.
Oh. Really? Okay. Her maiden name? So that was before she was married. Thank you for explaining that in case we didn't know what a maiden name was.
Of course, yes, silly me. It's Scythe now, isn't it?
Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently.
Way out of here, Ryunosuke. Anyway, the point is, those were the great days of policing. Not like now, where the forensic scientist gets married.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. But, do you think you could change your statement to include that name?
Well, yes. I don't see why not.
Okay. We've got an amended statement.
She was Courtney Stevens back when I knew her. Of course, a legendary coroner even then.
Yeah, he's still number 1. Interesting. Okay. Surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I suppose we could pit these two together because of the autopsy report, but I'm not going to rush into that just yet. I'm just going to press this and see what happens. Because we've got a connection now. Why would you assume that? Well, quite simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he? True. As it stands, we don't know of any connection. Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if there was somehow to have a mutual interest in the waxwork. Romantic? A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know. Well, you learn something new every day, even if you don't want to. One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this coroner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor just there. This woman may be more astute than I've been giving her credit for. If that's the woman's stance, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. Scythe would be enough. Yes, I agree. As soon as we have even a whiff of a connection, she'll be the first to know. Alright, let's do it. Hang on, if I just go to the court record for a bit. Ah, yeah, Courtney Scythe. I should have said Scythe. I don't know, I'm just sticking with Scythe, okay? Because it sounds, you know, appropriate. I'm going to put juror number 2 with juror number 6 and hope it's right.
Objection.
Brilliant. Alright. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. Two statements to your fair counsel.
So, juror number 2. Oh gosh, me? What can I do for you? How romantic. I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement. It's brought to light the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. I'm on a roll today. I'm feeling good about this case so far. I'm nailing all the beats. And you just know I'm gonna get stuck, probably in the next one. The next couple of testimonies, probably. Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean.
Dr. Scythe's maiden name is Stevens. And through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it.
My goodness, evidence you say? How utterly enthralling.
Counsel, the court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope there is substance to your claim. Oh my god, are we saying like the professor's death was faked all along? She wrote an autopsy report that was completely fabricated? And, no one confirmed his death because he was rushed to his execution, right? No one really watched it or anything? Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. The evidence that clearly links Dr. Scythe to the mass murderer known as the Professor.
Take that.
His autopsy report. I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago. A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have? It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork. The killer, known as the Professor. The Professor's... But the man was a capital offender, so... That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens.
Oh my, Courtney Stevens?
What, is her child, like, the professor's daughter? Like, did she get married to the professor? Did she have a baby with him? I don't know. Is that too scandalous for Greatest Attorney? Struck a light. It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago, and a few days ago, Mr. Drebber very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tuspel's. A waxwork that doesn't, in fact, resemble the victim, Mr. Asman, at all.
Do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events?
Absolutely. I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the Professor case is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover. Between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Mr. Enoch Dwemer.
Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships? This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obliged now to explore this further.
Okay, 3. I'm pretty sure I need one more, though. Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while there's this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. I thought he'd defend her no matter what. It wasn't like this in my day, but we're still here to uphold the justice in the end.
Respect.
We did it again, Miss Susato.
Thank you, Counsel, that will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty, against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at this time. And the trial must continue. We did it.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Another wonderful victory.
Hell yes. No objection? Thank God.
Well, we're back at it again. A waxwork of the despicable professor, used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation.
It's the waxwork of the professor that links Mr. Dwemer and Dr. Scythe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link. I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't.
The truth, sir. By using evidence and testimony.
If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness.
The owner?
Madame Tuspels. I really thought that Lord Van Zieks would object to this whole line of inquiry.
Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tuspels to appear as a witness with immediate effect.
Hope she's not too busy. Listen carefully, my learned friend.
Oh, yes?
You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box.
Oh, I feel like that's true.
The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand.
45 minutes to go to the House of Horrors exhibit, grab Madame Tuspels, make sure she's not busy, bring her over here, prep her for testimony, and then we're back. Jesus. I suppose you have to squeeze lunch in there sometime, too.
Madame Tuspels, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord.
Okay. I can just imagine Van Zieks sprinting out the door because he's got a freaking 45-minute time limit. To be continued.
Whew. Well, we can't stop here. We must press on.
Well, after a bite to eat, it's still the 24th of October, 11:53 a.m., the Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber.
Ah, the knight-errant himself.
Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? Or did you have a nap?
I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs. As a spectator, at least. And especially when you call that man Mr. Ottermole.
I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. Professor Hairbrain, you barely made an appearance. I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business all about? I'm the professor here. I'm Professor Hairbrain. He doesn't look anything like... He doesn't look like any professor I've ever met before. Who even is he? Of course. You were in Germany already 10 years ago.
Yes, the professor. When I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. But who knew the monster could come knocking at your door? My heartfelt sympathies.
As it turns out, Lord Van Zieks is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realized, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock.
And now a waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man.
I wasn't trying to knock him out or anything. You make it sound deliberate.
I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling.
Oh, yes. In what particular matter? Or manner?
Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Dr. Scythe, and Lord Van Zeeks. It seems that everybody in the trial is a link to the case somehow.
Yes! In fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me as an empty set, all alone. No intersection to any other.
Excuse me?
Who's that? Oh god.
Hi. Dr. Scythe.
Before I get into your dialogue, Sholmes, I just want to take a quick look. Okay, I was just looking at that badge on his lapel there and trying to match it up with Dr. Scythe's one. And it's not quite an exact match, but still, I was curious enough. Dr. Courtney Scythe, nee Stevens. Good day to you.
Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you.
What in particular, pray?
You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you?
Why would you assume such a thing?
Because Gregson told me.
That bastard.
To think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant.
A policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you, as it happens, Dr. Scythe. And I accused you of being complicit in what happened. You shouldn't be in the defendant's antechamber. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened.
That certainly won't be possible. Lord Van Zeeks would be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it.
Lord Strongheart?
The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice. I've always fought crime in the way that I see fit. That's why I made sure the forensic investigation team fit those acronyms. I have no regrets, none at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you.
Alright, well, good day to you too. I had a thought, but I've forgotten it now. Shit! I was too busy reading your dialogue and fascinated by what you had to say. What was I thinking? Can't remember now. Autopsy report. Coroner Dr. Courtney Scythe. Shucks. Alright, maybe it'll come back to me. In the meantime, she mentioned it too. This Pandora's box.
Whatever does it all mean?
There's really no cause for concern. I assure you, when the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'd like it to or not. Huh? Okay, way to boost my anxiety. Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits. I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much. Yes, one word of warning before I go. If in the course of the trial this afternoon you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. Like a hound, if you will. I mean, like it's a Baskerville. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Okay, I'll remember this. Sheesh. Scary. Alright, I understand. Thank you. Good. I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I shall be gnawing on that as you gnaw away the truth. Sholmes' caramel. Nice. What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Is he threatening me? Especially the bit about whatever may come to pass. Huh? Jeez. Well, maybe Shubs isn't the only one who lies about who's dead and who's not. It's time for the final chapter, then. I'm determined to find the truth. No matter what. Oh god, I feel like it's gonna ramp up real quick, real fast, real intense. 24th October, 12:40 p.m. The Old Bailey. Courtroom. Why does the professor have to be in the middle there? He wasn't there before, and he's just there now. He just popped up out of nowhere.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready and able to continue?
The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready.
As the court is aware, the case under our scrutiny began with a damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet we now find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectation.
As seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord. Yeah, well, all the cases that you're involved with, the defendant dies, okay? So, shit, don't blame me.
So then, let us begin our exploration of the defense's assertion that the waxwork was cardinally involved in this matter. Lord Van Zieks.
My lord.
Are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tuspels?
Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned.
Very well. Bring in the witness.
At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tuspels to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. I should probably save here. This is what another game would probably say. If Drebber is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means he must have had an accomplice in Dr. Scythe. And what connects the pair of them? Is the waxwork? Yes, the model of the professor. I mean, Drebber is the one who, quote-unquote, discovered the body in the exhibit, right? That's the key to the link between these otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present it's all we have to go on. What the hell? Okay. Damn. Joker from Persona 5 has arrived. in the form of a bust. State your name and occupation for the court, please. My name is Madame Esmeralda Tuspels. God. Shit. Sorry, guys. This accent is just not working for me. I'm a waxwork artisan. Oh, God. You know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. God damn it. We're committing to it. Okay? Can't be worse than some other dubs out there, I'm sure. and the proprietress of the Madame Tuspels Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must open very soon. What is that accent? Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are two of them in the world. Oh, it's Shomes. Oh my, what expression is she carving onto the face? A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this? Oui, that is true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped.
A waxwork model? Kidnapped?
Yes, my lords. There was a demand for ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not a true reason. I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim. At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Odie Asman. But of course, I know him well. He's a part of my odious personages exhibit. I detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Asman does not resemble the professor at all. Yes, but perhaps their faces are very similar. She would know, she's the one who made the model in the first place. Are you suggesting that we should see now the masked visage of the professor? I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock. This is absurd! Pardon? I don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure beneath that mask. But clearly, it won't be that of the actual killer.
Indeed. The man's identity was never made public after all.
The trial took place in a closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that a repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hands on that information.
Good homage. It would seem you are unaware of the two spells principles.
What principles?
The family to spells has always prided itself on sculpting its models à la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. And voila, our principles. There's a well-known legend about the Tuspel's waxwork from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tuspel's family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed. Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now. I believe the queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death, actually at the guillotine site. You are correct. The model is on display still today in the House of Horrors. We Tuspels will stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of our subjects.
Dear me, a somewhat disturbing tenacity of purpose.
It is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation of the subject. And it has been my family's secret for generations.
Do you mean to say that beneath that mask?
Oui, the true visage of the killer is there.
This is ludicrous. It's out of the question.
The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer, emerging from his own grave. It is a sight to behold. You should come.
I think, Madame, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter. You will explain every detail of this macabre model, and your personal involvement in its creation.
With pleasure.
Alright, bring it on, Madame Tuspels. Explain. The Professor Waxwork. Who could possibly be under that mask for maximum shock value? I don't know. I don't like to think about it. Let's just make our way there the normal way.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse, in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the grave digger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until he gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered.
Oh. Wow.
The gravedigger! The man sanctioned this!
Oui. I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew. Only the gravedigger. What harm did it do her?
So you truly saw it? The face of that monster!
Quiet down. Naturally, I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret, but Tuspels would not be Tuspels if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures.
I don't believe this.
I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, Madame. A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave.
The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from the time.
Really? There it is. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read the other articles. Especially, was the bull moss to blame for the Great Blaze? The fire that engulfed the popular theatre continues to draw attention as reports that Her Majesty Queen Victoria herself visited the Royal Italian Opera to inspect the site and offer words of condolences to the theatre's owner, Mr. Frederick Guy. Interesting. Mr. Drimmer's dreadful encounter. Odie Asman. What? Drew the illustration? Wrote the article? What's his signature doing there? Good God.
The special exhibit was based upon the picture in this article. It was the most detailed account of what happened, as reported by the eyewitness who saw it.
The 10-year-old article has been entered into the court record. Newspaper article recounting the tale of an eyewitness to the alleged resurrection of the professor from his grave on the night of his execution. The return of the great departed soul. Man, this is giving me the shivers. I'm enjoying this case. I'm really enjoying this case. Man rises from the grave. It's too absurd for words. Okay, well, I gotta get a look at this. Okay, we can't zoom in or explain anything. Mad sheep rampage. Unexplained phenomenon grips Oxfordshire region. Charles Darwin to receive Copley Medal. The Great Stink Parliament is to finally address the foul issue of a stench that carries on in the slightest breeze. Executed criminals returns in the dead of night at local cemetery. I feel like it's important to read this part of the article. At Lowgate Cemetery, just behind the prison, on the night of that foul demon's execution, the newly interred professor forced off his grave cover as he clawed free of the earth. The young man who witnessed the scene was on the verge of raising a shriek when, in the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. The bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breath then stilled once more. The youth then finally released the scream he had been holding and ran for his life. The university student who experienced this shocking event is Mr. Enoch Drebber, a disciple of science at the University of London, and a resident of its student dorms. Wow. Okay. Okay. That's Odie Esmond's signature there. So, the professor clawed out of his grave and then he got shot again. Goodness me. Who's this guy? Michael Myers? Bloody hell. The public enjoy absurdity, monsieur. That is why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum. And it's a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it? That is correct. The professor you see before you is here. Oh, here, sorry.
Most puzzling. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination.
This waxwork links Drebber to Dr. Scythe, and there has to be some reason for that, which hasn't yet come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened.